Hello everybody and welcome back to Straight Talk with Kysa. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about ensuring the safety of your child while they are online. And this topic is even more prevalent currently, seeing that our lives are basically online. You go to work online, your children have their classes online, and therefore we're all spending way more time on the internet than usual. And while we know the internet can be used for good, as in for example for your child to receive their education, it can also be used negatively. And since the pandemic, there has been an increase in sexual harassment online, and we want to ensure that our kids, your kids, and all kids never have to endure this. What this means is that your child is way more vulnerable now. Groomers and persons that suffer from pedophilia are taking this as an opportunity to gain access to our kids, and this is what we want to prevent, and this is why we need to have conversations with our children about how to be safe online. So now, let us hear from some parents about how they teach their children to be safe online or how they ensure their child's safety, and then I will be giving you some necessary tips on how you can have a conversation with your children about online safety. Stay tuned.
Well, growing up, we didn't have televisions. I grew up on listening to the radio station, so there wasn't this threat about online. We didn't have internet, we didn't have computers until I was like a teenager. So, it was really different. Parents during that time didn't have all of this thing about monitoring what we watch or whatever. The threat was not as great as now. But by the time we had our kids, it was different. So we knew that we had to be careful because they were being born into an age where there are computers, there's televisions, there's so much that they were exposed to. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what we did to make sure that they were always watching the right things and about online safety.
Okay, what I did personally too, as when they were very small, is subject myself to watching whatever they watched, and it was tough sometimes.
You're still watching what they watch.
Yes, I still do, and deliberately I want to know what is the content of what they're consuming. I wanted to know that since they were kids, because at that stage, even though television and social media would have been fairly recent to us because it happened for us when we were adults practically. But at that stage I knew that this thing could be a threat, and children can learn things that we don't necessarily want them to learn at the time. So I subjected myself to watching whatever they chose to watch. I was right there with them, not trying to get in the way. But if it was something that I thought the content was not necessarily good, then we would make a decision and we would not look at that.
So I believe that parents, you need to know exactly what the children are doing. Sometimes we use these gadgets to keep our children quiet. So you feel happy when they're sitting in a little corner on your laptop or on your iPad or whatever, and you say, oh, they're out of trouble. But sometimes they're in more trouble than you think. So you have to not necessarily police them, but you have to talk to them about the threats that are out there. Let them know that they're free to come to talk to you if there's something that they're scared about, or if someone is telling them something they're uncomfortable with. But have that open space so that they can come and that they recognize these threats, because they can come in all forms. Because yes, we want them to be exposed, but we also want them to be safe. So we have got to ensure that we are diligent.
Hi, it's Morales. What do I do to keep my son, Seth, who's 6 years, safe from online surfacing? Whenever he's online, I am present. Whenever he's on the YouTube channels, the computer, the phone, I am present. If I have to tell him to stop looking at something that I don't like, I will let him know. So I have to safeguard everything that he's looking at to make sure that it's kosher, to make sure that it's something that I would want for him to be looking at?
Thank you, parents, once again for sharing with us, and it was so refreshing to see that there are parents that are taking their children's online safety so seriously. To reiterate the points that were made by the parents, here are a few tips that I have for you that you can use in having conversations with your child about online safety. Tip number 1, give your child or your children direction on being safe online or on their expected behavior online. This can include talking to them about what platform you're comfortable with them using, about the posts that you're comfortable with them making or sharing. Those are great conversations that you can have with your children. Now, while it's important for you to monitor them with these things, it's also important for you to give them the privacy that they deserve so that they can see that you trust their judgment on how to behave online. Tip number 2. Check in on your children regularly. And I'm not saying be a helicopter parent, but check in with them from time to time about what is going on online and ask them specific questions and listen keenly to the feedback that they have, whether it be negative or positive, because that can help you help them. Great questions you can ask are, what's new on the internet today? Or what funny meme did you post on Instagram today? Or did you make a new friend online today? Those are great questions you can ask inconspicuously. Tip number 3, use technology with your children. Yes, we have to use it with them. Be young. Make that TikTok video with them. Scroll on Instagram with them. If they're playing a video game online, play that video game with them and listen to the conversations that are being had. This can go a long way with your children, not just with building relationships, but they'll see that you're interested in what they're interested in. And so having conversations about what is happening on these platforms will become so natural to them. And another thing you can do is when you're having these conversations with them about what's going on in these platforms, talk to them about how they handle situations when they're uncomfortable. Like, what do they do if someone says something to them that makes them uncomfortable, or if they see a post that makes them uncomfortable? Do they report that post? Do they block that person? And those types of things. Those are great ways to ensure that your children know how to keep themselves safe online. And my 4th and final tip for you is encourage your children to speak up. Fear can be very scary, of course, and it can keep children or people from speaking up on things that they're fearful about, plain and simple. If there's something that's bothering your child online and they're fearful about it, the chances are they may not speak to you about it, and that's what we want to prevent. So give your children, make a safe environment for them so that they know that they can speak to you about anything. Whether a mistake was made or not, let them know that they can come to you because you're there for shelter, you're there for comfort, you're there for help. And also, if you, a parent, notice any form of sexual harassment going on online or something that your child notices, you guys need to call a hotline or report it to the necessary authorities. One great hotline you can call is the RAIN hotline. The number for that is 800-656-HOPE, which is 800-656-4673. And you can just tell them what's happening and they will take care of the rest. It's that simple. So those are all the tips that I have for you guys, but if you want to go over these tips for yourself, if you feel like you need more information, feel free to visit missingkids.org/netsmarts, and that's netsmarts with a Z, and you'll see more information on this. They include conversation starters for parents, so you guys can get free information on how to talk to your kids, and there are also video resources that you can use for viewing and downloading for your kids, and I promise you they are appropriate. So you can go ahead and look at that, and down below I will also leave a link to an article that will give you more information on this topic. Now before I let you go, there's just one more thing. Yes, one more thing. So I took it upon myself to write a little song, and I'd love for you guys to listen to it and play it for your children, and I think it will be a great reiteration point for them or to have for just how to be safe online. So go ahead, listen to that song, play it for your kids, and enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in to Straight Talk with Kysa, and I'll see you next time. Bye!